Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast where we give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us God, where we take all these interesting and sometimes crazy and sometimes a little goofy health and wellness and topics that you hear about in social media, you hear about in the news, and we make them simple to understand, break them down into simple, digestible, understandable conversation points. And then we give you action steps so that you can improve your health, the health of your family, and for those physicians that are watching, improve their patients' outcomes and help their community be happier, healthier, and ultimately wealthier. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Naputi. I'm a functional medicine and functional neurology doctor that helps patients get to the root cause of their problems, and I train doctors all over the globe to help their patients do the same. We're going to go down a journey today. It's that time of the year again where I'm getting questions all the time. Flus, colds, what do I do? You know, it's kind of like lions, tigers, bears, oh my, rotavirus, flu virus. What do we do? It's not that difficult. Don't freak out. Remember, 40 plus million Americans get diagnosed with the flu every year. There are probably hundreds of millions of more that are exposed to flus and colds globally. They don't even know that they have it. And it's really not that big of an issue. It's actually very simple. The reason why we have so much concerns about it, well, is because, how do I say this? Fear pornography is the common marketing propaganda that's being used to sell dope, drugs, and etc. to you and other consumers that, well, may not know any better. What if I told you there were safe, effective, affordable, and clinically proven ways to help your body deal with these times of the year? By the way, flu and cold season is nothing more than cold outside season. What do I mean by that? Well, when it's cold outside, there's more viral load inside. We have something very commonly known as the winter burden. Every year, everybody has a winter burden where we have less exposure to sunshine, which is really important because our body needs that to keep viral load and bacteria down, and makes vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, that's one of the, if not the most important nutrient in the human body. What else do we do? We're inside under fluorescent lights all day long that zap our energy and zap our immune system function. What else is wrong with us during this time of the year? Listen, during the flu and cold season in North America, it's Halloween, it's Thanksgiving, it's New Year's, Christmas, Hanukkah, all the holidays where we eat the foods that cause us to be fat, sick, and nearly dead more than normal, right? I mean, it is what it is. And that's the combination that we have. And what if there were ways and things you could do to help with this? So when flu and cold season strikes, there are natural remedies that are out there that are best defenses and help speedy recoveries. But I need you to understand that the symptoms that you have during flus and during colds, these expressive forms of healing, are not necessarily bad. Fevers and body aches and runny noses and even diarrhea and vomiting are actually beneficial things for the human body. So feed the body the things that it needs to, accelerate the healing process. Don't deny these certain things. So let's talk a little bit about how to recognize some of these symptoms, understanding symptoms of flus and colds, what you can do about it, and how not to stress about it. Because how many of you know that, stressing over certain things is like trying to solve an algebra equation by, what the song says, chewing bubble gum. Doesn't fix the problem. And stressing over things, 80% of the things we stress about, we can't even control. And it causes a bigger issue if we just stress over it. So let's talk about runny noses. Is a runny nose a good thing or a bad thing? Nobody wants a runny nose, but normally a runny nose is a histamine response secondary to some type of an allergen or some type of an adjuvant in the sinuses, an irritant rather in the sinuses. And the sinuses are trying to drain. It's a water fountain turning on, trying to wash out the crud out of the system. That's why when you have a runny nose, we recommend helping the body get the stuff out. What can you do to help with that? Sinus rinses. I'm a big fan of sinus rinses, and I'm a big fan of using either vaporizers, even if it's just like a Vicks vaporizer type machine, a humidifier machine, or even a nebulizer, where we can get in the endonasal passage good nutrients that we know that can knock out some of these supposed infections or allergens. And some of these are things like what? Like salt water. You guys know you get these little Neomed sinus rinses or these, rinses you put up your nose. Most of it is nothing more than just salt water. So we make our own. We use organic sea salt. We put it in a sinus rinse. I usually use a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. We use a little bit of silver. Silver is a natural antibiotic. You can buy it over the counter. Silver's been used for generations, right, to help people. And it's a natural antibiotic, a natural antiviral, and it doesn't destroy the normal, good, healthy microbiome in the body. It's what the good Lord put on the earth for us to use as one of the many natural antibiotics that are out there. So runny nose flushes out trapped viruses and bacteria. Number 2, fevers. A fever is to kill off bacteria from regenerating and helping keeping viruses from replicating. Fevers are good. Did you know that most people who give themselves or their children antipyruvates, which are fever-reducing medications, can actually prolong, which means increase the length of, the time of a sickness? Yes, that's right. Research shows that taking antipyruvates can lengthen the duration of a flu or a cold by 3 to 5 days. So you've watched too much General Hospital soap operas that says, little Johnny's got a fever, he's going to have a seizure and die. That is not the case. Now, if a seizure is above 105, then we start to get a little concerned. By the way, that's 105 with a thermometer done rectally or even in the ear with a very precise a digital thermometer. There is so much mass hysteria about fevers. So you know what we do? You know what we train our patients to do and we tell our communities to do? You have a fever, get in the sauna, get in the hot tub, get in a hot shower, a hot bath, and let that body heat up. Why? Because when you heat that body up, you're going to break that fever. And when you break that fever, you're going to stop the viruses from regenerating and the bacteria from growing. It's common sense, but common sense, folks, ain't that common. What about diarrhea? Diarrhea is the body trying to evacuate the toxins out of the body. Look, and here's the thing. Did you know that many people have months, years, or decades of compacted fecal matter, which houses horrible bacteria, viruses, fungus, parasites, and etc., and it traps between the lining of the intestines and the fecal matter inside your gut lining, and that bacteria needs to come out. So a lot of times when you start taking the right probiotics, the right supplements, eating the right foods, your body might have a couple days of diarrhea. Why? Because you finally got the good stuff in to push the bad stuff out. And sometimes when we eat foods that are problematic or have bad bacteria or something wrong in it, our body's going to expel it through throwing it up or having diarrhea. It's very healthy for the body. Now, we don't want to have diarrhea all the time. And yes, it can cause us to be raw. And yes, it can cause issues with, our rectal area. But normally, a couple days are not an issue. Not an issue at all, okay? And there are things that you can do if you do have diarrhea to minimize it. You've heard of the brat diet, right? I'm not a big fan of bread, but you can have some bread. A lot of times I'll tell people to get some fiber. Go get some fiber supplements to help clump up the fecal matter a little bit so it's not running. The second thing you can do is rice. I'm not a big fan of white rice or even brown rice, but wild rice is really usually healthy and beneficial as long as it's organic. You can even have some bananas, right? Those kinds of things can help thicken up the fecal matter so you don't have the diarrhea all the time. What about that achy joint feeling that you have? You ever get a flu or a cold and man, your joint hurts, or that knee that you jacked up in high school that only bothers you when you don't feel good, fires up? That's a sign that your body's immune system, listen, your immune system is working. Your immune system is going to be the driver for helping the body push this out. Well, inflammation is part of that. Your body's going to produce these cells called cytokines, and that's part of the army, if you will, that goes and fights off these bugs, these bacteria, these parasites, these pathogens in the body. So when you have increased inflammation systemically, you're going to feel stiff, sore, achy, and the weak links of your body are going to hurt more. It's pretty common sense. So what can you do? Take an Epsom salt bath. What else can you do? Drink lots of warm fluids. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but don't take ibuprofen, Tylenols, and these kinds of things. That's not going to help you. If you want to reduce the inflammation, pain, take omega-3 fish oils, 3 to 6 grams, take some turmeric, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of that, drink lots of water with good, healthy, clean, organic sea salt in it, 5 to 8 grams a day. There are lots of things that you can do. Here's some of them. Number one, vitamin D as in dog. Look, vitamin D is one of the most important inflammatory regulating hormones in the body. Yes, I said hormone because vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a prohormone. And that prohormone helps regulate your cytokines in your body. If your vitamin D is low, every researcher who knows anything about anything will tell you that if vitamin D levels are low, you have an increase in risk of infection of all infections across the board, all infections, including colds and flus and bacteria, all infections. So everybody should have their vitamin D levels checked at least once, if not twice a year. And on a blood test, it should be between a 60 and a 100. I like my level between an 80 and 100. It's so beneficial for the body. So do that and then supplement. Most people are going to be supplementing somewhere between 10,000 IUs and 20,000 international units a day for adults and 2,000 IUs to 5,000 IUs a day for children. Very safe, very effective, really makes a big difference. But don't wait till you get sick. You should be having that level of vitamin D consistent throughout the entire year. If you wait until flu and cold season, a lot of times it's too late. You want to have those reserves so that you don't get sick. I can't tell you the last time I've truly been sick. I've overdone it. I've overworked myself. I've underslept and I've let my body get worn down, but I don't get sick because of that. So that's number one. Number two, zinc. Zinc is one of the most important nutrients that a person could be taking on a regular basis. Zinc does so many things from a hormonal standpoint, an inflammatory standpoint, you name it. It's very, very important. It's one of the most common mineral deficiencies that we have to this day globally, but especially here in North America. It's just not in our food supply at the level that it should be. And there are many ways you can measure your zinc levels. You can do blood testing for zinc. It's not the most accurate, but you can look at your fingernails. If you look at your nails and you have little white lines or little white circles in there, that's called leukoplakia. That's the sign of a zinc deficiency. If you stick your tongue out and your tongue is really white, that could be another sign of a zinc deficiency. If your hair is really white or gray, that could be a zinc and copper deficiency. Regardless, you should be supplementing zinc on a regular basis. I like a chelated form of zinc. That zinc should not upset your stomach. Zinc picolinate or zinc glycinate are two forms that I personally use on a regular basis. I personally take preventatively 50 milligrams a day. And if I don't feel well, which is very rare, I'll take between 120 to 150 milligrams a day of zinc for 3 to 7 days until I feel good again. Zinc is very, very powerful. It's very powerful for the immune system, and it has been shown to reduce the length and duration of flus and colds. Nebulizers. I talked about this before. Nebulizing with silver up the nose, in the mouth, because in the endonasal passage where the back of the nose and throat come together, that's where a lot of the viral load will stick. It'll live there. Bacteria and fungus and mold all lives in that region of our body. So if we can get our exposure to antiviral, antiparasitic chemicals and compounds, that can help. If I don't feel well, I'm going to get a nebulizer and I'm going to inhale and nebulize for about 2 to 5 minutes, 3 parts compound. I'm going to put 1 part silver, liquid silver in the nebulizer. I'm going to put a little bit of 2% hydrogen peroxide, and then I'm going to put in there distilled water. And if when I breathe it in, if it burns, then I'm going to put a little bit more water in there to kind of cut the intensity of that nebulizer. And I might do that every hour until my endonasal passage is cleared and I'm breathing good again. Now, a lot of times during flu and cold season, I will use nasal rinses like a NeilMed sinus rinse or a Nutty Pot with the same solution just to irrigate out the bacteria, mucus, and fungus in our sinuses. But if I'm feeling fine, I might use a nebulizer maybe a couple times a month, during flu and cold season. So those are things that you can do. Another one, oregano and oregano oil. There's been study after study after study that have shown oregano oil actually has a better antibacterial property than some of the antibiotics that are on the marketplace without the side effects. So I'm a big fan of oregano oil, and I'm also a big fan of oregano capsules. You can use that, and you can eat oregano. It's an herb that you should be eating regularly. Quercetin or quercetin. This is a very strong natural antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antihistamine that helps the body reduce a lot of the symptoms of flus and colds. Also, quercetin helps as a transporter of zinc. Quercetin can open up the cell wall and allow for those nutrients to absorb a little bit better. Most people are going to take around 500 milligrams twice a day of quercetin to help reduce the viral load. Vitamin C orally and vitamin C IV. I'm a big fan of my clinical practices. I do at least twice a month a Myers cocktail vitamin IV based off of the deficiencies in my blood. And what I also do is I take oral vitamin C or elderberry on a regular basis. I like elderberry, especially local elderberry, because it has all the local flora and fauna in it, which also helps reduce, histamine responses, inflammatory responses. You can look up the Linus Pauling dose. Go look up on YouTube Linus Pauling dose for vitamin C. But if you're going to take vitamin C orally, I'm going to recommend it's a liposomal form of vitamin C, not any other form of vitamin C. Gut health and immunity. We know that some 80 to 90% of the immune system starts in the gut, with the gut-associated lymphatic tissue. And so if your gut bacteria is off, and again, some 95% of the population is, you need to be on a spore-based microbiotic formula that has lactobacillus, bifidobacterium. Those are the main strains that we know that improve gut health. Eating fermented foods is a really powerful way to get the gut bacteria up as well. And understanding that this too shall pass, right? When your body is dealing with flu or cold symptom, give it time to do what it's supposed to do. If you have the ability to rest for a day or two, do that. You'll respond faster. If you have the ability to stay home from, school and from work, do that, right? But the reality of it is that your immune system needs to get stimulated and challenged. And the best thing you can do is get exposed. And that way your immune system is robust and strong. Look, if you weren't exposed to flus and colds and other pathogens, like if you literally lived in a bubble and then you came out of that bubble years later, your body's not going to be able to withstand because the immune system is not trained like it's supposed to. Our bodies are going through immune system boot camp every day in every way. And we need to embrace that process and not run away from it, but do the right things. Getting the right vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, eating the right clean foods, understanding your gut microbiome, sleeping well, breathing well, eating well, and you'll be well. So go back, rewatch this, share this with your friends and family, and know that this too shall pass, and know that knowledge is power, but wisdom is applying that to your life. Go to our website, go to peptalk.world. That's peptalk.world. Our job is to give you the map, the keys, and the car, but you still got to drive it. Folks, until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Naputi. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Stay smart out there, and I'll see you next time. Be well.